Welcome back to Homebuyer Hotspot. I'm your host, Jennifer Fanning, mortgage lender, Jeep lover, and your guide to making smart, confident home buying decisions. Today, we're diving into a topic that's exploding in popularity: new construction. A lot of buyers are looking for modern layouts, energy efficiency, and the ability to personalize their home. But the process of buying new construction is very different from buying a resale home. There are some unique timelines, builder incentives, financing strategies, and things buyers need to know before they walk into that model home. And to help us walk through all that, I'm joined by a special guest, a realtor who specializes exclusively in new construction community and understands the inside track that most buyers never hear about. We're going to cover pitfalls to avoid, how to get the best deal from a builder, the smartest way to plan financially. Well, let's jump in. Laurie, tell my listeners a little bit about your professional self and how you ended up in real estate.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for having me today.
You're
Such a
welcome.
great topic, especially for Florida, because we have new houses coming up out of everywhere.
Everywhere,
So
yes.
let me start with I moved from Pennsylvania in 2022, came to Florida, I moved to the Palm Coast area. I was working as a restaurant manager and realized that there was new houses everywhere. Kind of fell in love with,
There,
it. Fell in
there
love with
are
the idea.
Palm Coast is, I think that's, new
Yeah,
houses
we're
everywhere.
up there in growth. So I noticed every day there was houses for sale and I was like, man, it's time to change my career. So I got my real estate license, started with Watson, did it for about 5 months, and then realized that new home sales was really where I wanted to be. That's the sweet spot. It's like more of a clean sale to me, if you will. Like if you go into new home sales and you look to buy a house, you walk in, you don't have to worry about the emotion of buying a house from somebody that's selling their house, the emotion of haggling that price, or even, getting into the inspections, crossing your fingers that your dream home is actually going to be a dream home.
That it's not
So, you know
termite
what I mean?
infested.
Yeah. So new home sales really made it really easy for me. The first house that I sold was new home construction when I was with Watson, and it just was up and running from there. I was the buyer side, so I got a good way to kind of understand both sides of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think the biggest misconception that buyers have when they walk into a model home or sales center? What do you think the biggest misconception is that they have?
That they won't qualify with a regular loan, or that they have to get some type of construction to perm loan, or they have to start paying for their home on day one.
Okay, so they really think that, huh? That
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Walk in
interesting.
and I know. Well, you don't think about it that you can have an FHA loan on a home that won't be complete, or a conventional loan that won't be complete for 6 to 8 months. And you still have, because people think you get pre-qualified, you have 90 days to select your home and then that's it. You have to be locked in, and you don't. We work with conventional loans, FHA, VA loans all the time. Since I've worked in new home sales, I've never done a construction to perm loan.
Yeah, well,
So,
there's no point in it. So construction to perm loan, I've been part of a couple of those in my career, and construction to perm really is for that person building a custom home
right,
that needs to supply the builder with money up front. So
right,
that's what a construction to perm, whereas builders that you go into model homes and you see their house and there's agents like yourself, those builders are actually fronting the money to purchase the house or to build the house. The
exactly.
buyer then is just getting what we call in the industry an end loan, where once the house is completely built and there's a certificate of occupancy, then we close just like you normally do on a resale house, and your loan then takes into effect. So that's interesting. I
You
never
got it.
knew that people would have that misconception. So next
Well,
question,
it
why is it
almost feels like that it's not reachable. That's all. It just feels not reachable.
Well, of
Yep.
course, because that would be a process that people would not be familiar with
Interested in.
and most likely wouldn't have friends that would have done it. You know what I'm saying? A construction to
Yeah,
perm, because not that many people build custom homes. So, why
exactly.
do you think it's important for buyers to bring their own realtor, even when the builder has an on site agent? Like, is there an advantage to bringing your own realtor? What's your take on that? Obviously, you're the sales agent. So how does that happen? What happens there, and is there should buyers do that?
So it can go either way. And here's why I say that is if you're looking at multiple homes or multiple builders and you're just kind of getting your feet in there to see what you want to purchase, then it's good to have a buyer's agent because they can help you organize all that information, narrow down what you actually want. It
Okay.
takes a lot. And
So
leave it
with
up
the
to the agent.
psychological part of it almost, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Because it's a lot of work. And honestly, sometimes it gets so overwhelming that people kind of back out or down, or just like, I don't want to do
So
this.
I've seen people do that without even being new construction, that they just get
It's a lot.
overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yes, and by the time if you look at house 1 and then you get to house 10, house 1 and 10 look alike at that point, so, it's a lot of work that goes into it. So, but I will say that Palm Coast is a different animal in this fact, okay? So, a lot of times people are just looking for the home site itself, the actual address. So, I've had multiple buyers that just came in without an agent simply because they knew the home they wanted to buy, they knew the address, they didn't need an agent because our coordinator does all of the work. So, like, you have a coordinator that, well, you don't need an agent to help you, kind of get your ducks in a row because the coordinator will do it for you. So, it can go one or two ways.
Okay, so that's how Estella, your builder, so they've got that coordinator then that would
Hmm.
help people. So I've been into other model homes for other builders, and and you walk in there and they have the house all set up, and you ask what's the price. And then they go through like their sales thing and they tell you what the price is, but then they start telling you all the things that are not included at that base price. And that,
For sure.
if you want the taller moldings, that's an additional fee. If you want the taller doors, then that's an additional fee. If you want crown molding, then that's additional. If you want different countertops. So it goes down the line of all of these different choices, and there's fees attached to those choices. So then as a client, you kind of feel like, wow, I don't really know what my
Overwhelmed.
house is going to cost. So is that how you guys operate, or how does Estella take care of that part? Because I've been in your houses. They're beautiful.
They're beautiful as is with our standard package. So we do now have option packages, and all builders are going to offer different options and upgrades. Just if there's things that are really important to you, like the taller baseboards, actually just say, what's the base price? And then what is the price of all of these extra things? If the builder, when we talk about like red flags, if the builder cannot give you those, that's a red flag.
And that's
That's
a
an
problem. Okay, you should
because you
turn
wanna be
around and
able to know what the house is gonna cost, and it should be in a timely fashion because in this business, everything is imminent. Everything's today. I wanna know exactly what it's gonna cost me, and you should never get into something without knowing what it's gonna cost you. Or the other thing is you go into the model home and they're like, this, and this is an option. Okay, well, what will be there if that option is not selected? So, for example, we have a front door that has 4 lights. If we don't offer that door as the option, which is an upgraded option, then it's going to be a shaker door. Well, what does that door look like? So you can really or do you have a home that actually replicates just what or represents what the actual standard looks like? Let's go look at that one, even if it's not the right address.
Okay, so that really helps people kind of hone down what
Mm-hmm.
they want and their options, and
100%.
to select that. Okay, so if they're looking at all of those types of things, then they definitely should have a realtor to help them make sure that they're really getting what they want. And then you guys facilitate that process to make sure. But if you're somebody who just walks into the model home and says, I want this exact home at that address,
And
then
we get
maybe
that.
then maybe they don't necessarily need an agent to advocate for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question that is not on the list of questions I sent
Go
you.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, I'm ready.
So you mentioned like your lender, and all builders have their lender. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens to the people who your lender can't qualify? Because it happens that
Yep.
your lender can't qualify. Are people just dead in the water then?
No,
Or how do you allow them to use another lender that can qualify them? How does that
we
work on your
do.
guys' end?
So we're a smaller builder, so we have a lot of blessings with that. Okay. So we will use 4 different lenders. A lot of
Hmm.
builders, like your DR Horton, they
Yeah.
use DR lending. They use DR
Yes.
Horton lending. We
Yes.
use lenders like CMG Bank, which right now we have a commitment forward with them that gives us a lower rate. We'll use what is it, Freedom Movement, which is a lender that works with people that may need down payment assistance programs or, may not be traditional lending. So we have quite a few of them. But if you come in, and I had this happen recently, and the buyer wanted to use Navy Federal Credit Union. And we all know if you're a credit union gal, you are a credit union gal. And here's the
100%.
thing. Yes, and our builder appreciates and understands that. If they're going to offer them a better rate, a better situation, then we will go with that. The only thing most builders are not, going to fluctuate on is title companies. We want to use our title because it's easier for us to close. It's easier for us to even close with our preferred lenders. And that's why a lot of times builders will prefer that because we can follow it throughout the loan process. But if it makes sense for the buyers, our Estella Living builder will allow it. We go for it.
So, how does new construction, what's the difference in timeline between your traditional, I'm buying a resale house, which here in Florida, it's a 30-day close typically, unless you
Mhm.
request something longer or something shorter. A typical closing is 30 days. So, somebody who is purchasing new construction, what's the difference between purchasing that new construction if you're making choices and picking lots? And I guess give us
So
that timeline.
if you want to just pick in on one that we already have. So right now this month, we have 4 quick move-in ready homes, and most spec builders, and that's what will be a spec builder. That's what we call them. And those ones you can move in 30 to 45 days. So just
Okay, so
depending on when you get the CO.
almost exactly like a resale then.
Yes. But
Okay.
if you want to make more selections and you buy one that's further, back in the actual progress, or if you want to select your lot, we allow that as well. We will, buy the lot for you, or we send out our lots so people know what ones we have coming up so you can select
Wow,
what
wait
you
a minute.
want.
So you'll actually buy the lot. So say I have a friend that comes into town and wants to
Answer is
live
yes.
next door to me, and there's a empty lot that's just full of trees next door to me. She could ask you guys, can you purchase this lot
Yes.
and build me a house? And you guys would do that. So she wouldn't have to purchase that lot herself.
No, just recently did this for a couple of sisters. They
Okay.
wanted to be on the same block.
That's amazing. That's really amazing because I a lot of times think of the custom builders where they would make you buy that lot
Hmm.
first. And then, yes, they're happy to build on it. But I
Hmm.
did not realize that Estella would actually go and purchase that lot if it was
For sure.
available and
Yep.
then
And
build.
one step further, we will build on a lot that you have as well. So we'll do it anyway. We make it happen every way possible. But if you identify a lot and you're like, this is the one I really love, we will go after that lot for you to ensure that we get you where you want to be.
So, how long is that process typically then? So, if I'm somebody who's super particular, like your sisters you said that you
Hmm.
had, they wanted to live on the same street or whatever. So how long is that process then of the obtaining the lot, getting all your permits and stuff? So what would you tell people is kind of a general timeline? What should they expect?
6 to 8 months or 6 to 9 months. And I'm going to buffer it with that one extra to 9 months simply because I want to give us enough time to close on the lot. And then 6 to 8 months from permit. So as soon as we say you come in and you're like, I want to live at 123 Main Street and the lot's up for sale, can we purchase it? Yes, we can. So we'll go under contract with it. While we're under contract with it, because we're purchasing it for you, we'll get all the selections in place so that way we can start the permitting package. Time from permit application to CO time, certificate of occupancy, is normally about 8 months.
I mean, it's good to know. I mean, it gives people kind of a timeline, especially if they're selling a home of their own, that they need to figure out the timeline of that. So, okay. So what surprises buyers the most about builder contracts? What have you
Couple
heard?
things.
Okay.
There's a couple good ones actually. With us specifically, we do contingencies. So what you were just talking about, it gives somebody enough time to go ahead and get their home sold. So we'll do contingencies on that. We'll do contingency list. Yeah. Well, and we'll do contingencies to list. And then once you go under contract, we'll switch it to a contingency to close. So we have a couple options. I know it's a really great opportunity. So it
Okay,
gives you
that
an
is a good
option.
opportunity.
Because when you're trying to sell a house, you get in that crazy limbo spot of, what do I
Yes.
do? Other biggest shock on new construction contracts that even agents don't realize is we don't necessarily write contingencies for inspections. Of course, we'll always allow an inspection, but we won't write, because you're not really waiting to see what happens in the inspection. Everything's going to check out just fine because it's brand new.
It's new.
The other one is we don't list the close date. And that's
Well, of
because
course.
Yep, 2 things have to happen. You have to have a certificate of occupancy and you have to have funds to close, and that catches a lot of people off guard because most people wanna see it in black and white when this happens and when that happens, and it's difficult because it's not black and white.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts from
A lot.
getting a lot, getting permits. Like the builder obviously isn't in charge of how fast the city is moving to give permits, all the other things that all come into play as far as building a home, which I'm pretty familiar with. My husband's dad was a custom home builder in
Mhm.
California in the 80s. And so we've built lots of things over the years, and there's definitely things that happen, like we saw at the beginning of COVID, the supply chain problems that
Yes.
all the
Well, and
builders
now they have that written into new construction contract.
okay.
About the
Wow.
unforeseeable issues that will come about, and that's probably another shock to people, which it's not that we comb over it, but it's not anything that we expect to happen anytime soon, but in Florida specifically, it also brings up, hurricanes. It brings up the thought of, is that gonna delay or is there a major disaster that will delay? I don't wanna say it has to be a perfect situation for you to do new construction because we will offer the contingencies to help you plan, but it is still somewhat, a task.
Absolutely. I had a client who, at the very beginning of COVID, went under contract for a spec built home that had upgrades. And this builder was in Washington State. And so they started the process and they were getting their house. Gosh, it's been a few years, so I'm going to make up a number for like 350,000 is what
Mhm.
the home was supposed to cost with the builder. Well, the builder took 2 years to build that house. 2 years because he had some supply chain problems, and then I think, to be honest, because I was kinda dug into him a little bit, I think he had some financial problems,
Mhm.
and he went to go start building a hotel or something else, and at the end, we weren't even sure if the clients were really gonna get a house, but they did end up closing, and when the appraisal came back, it appraised $250,000 more
Is that
than
not
they
crazy?
bought it. What?
I said, "That's crazy."
It
And
is
I'll tell
crazy.
you, it's kind of and it's not to, tote on ourselves or toot our own horns, but we have that happen a lot to us. Not that it takes forever to close. Let's back that out because that's not the situation. We're normally pretty much good on track, but when we get appraisals and things along those lines, they're generally higher than what the buyers are buying them for. So
Good
you're
to
walking
know
in with equity.
because, to be honest, on resale, like my last couple appraisals have come back a little bit low,
And it
on
makes it
resale
difficult.
homes. It does make it difficult. So, what point would you suggest that a buyer talk to a lender before they walk in model homes, afterwards? What's your suggestion to people?
So, and I always think that question is like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg,
Hmm.
Because if you go in and you haven't talked to a lender, then you don't even know what you can, realistically afford.
Is reality.
Yeah. And that's kind of frustrating because you could walk in and the model home be the, $400,000 model, and they have one that is more affordable in your price range, but you don't even know what the price range is. So, that's where I'm like, it could go either way. So you may want to know what you can actually afford before you go to a lender or go into the builder. But if you don't, that's okay too, because we have lenders on speed dial and they'll let you know. And the thing with that is if you're buying new construction, you know as well as I know, a lot of times you can fit more home into your budget. So sometimes it is better to wait to talk to the builder first.
So, what deposits or upfront money should buyers be prepared to have? Is it any different than resell, or what do you guys normally suggest?
5,000 down for your deposit. Some builders, and we do as well. Sometimes if you do quite a few options, and you're building kind of far out, they will ask for a deposit on that as well.
Okay, because those options cost more money, so they would ask for a little bit more money up front, right? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Sometimes buyers will like to option their house out so high up that you want to keep appraisals in mind. Not that we ever have an issue with them, but you would hate for somebody.
Can overbuild for a neighborhood.
There you go. And that's, you just wanna make sure we wanna cater to your taste, we really do, but we wanna make sure that you're gonna be financially secure in what you're catering to your taste as well. So,
That's awesome.
that's
That's actually good that you guys think of that aspect
yeah.
because a lot of people do not. They just have in their mind what they want and they
Mhm.
don't think about the neighborhood, how
Yeah.
appraisals work,
Yep.
what the whole process is. So that's good that you guys are looking out for what they have going on. What questions would you tell a buyer that they should ask the builder before going under contract?
Know exactly what's gonna be in the home because you don't know how many people walk in and they get starstruck and they're ready to sign on the line and they don't even know what is actually the standard, what is an upgrade, what is an option, what are the features because and not that I know any that do it, but you can walk in and a builder just like on a resale one, you wanna know the exact things that are gonna be put in that home so that way that's what you're signing on that line for.
Stuck still on the inspection part that we talked about
Yeah, of
earlier.
course.
So you allow people to have inspections, but there's no inspection contingency, which means that they can't back out of the offer because of an inspection. It's
Exactly.
new construction, so we know that everything was just done. So what
Exactly.
happens if the inspector does find some little things that maybe one of your subcontractors didn't quite do right? What happens? Are they able to bring those and say, "Hey, that faucet leaks," you know,
Yes, 100%. So what you wanna do is you wanna get in the process, you wanna get your inspector to come out before your first walkthrough with the project manager. You get 2 walkthroughs with the project manager. If we get that inspection before you do your first walkthrough, 9 times out of 10, everything on that list within the builder's code or Palm Coast code will be addressed. So that way it's already fixed, and 9 times out of 10 when we do it that way, guess what? The first walkthrough is like a cakewalk because everything's already been addressed and then you get your first walkthrough, you can address anything that the inspector may have not addressed that you are like, "You know what? I need that fixed." And then you get one more walkthrough just to say, "Yes, it's all been fixed." The inspector stuff and your stuff. Yeah. We want you to be happy.
I love that you want your people to be happy.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about incentives. Obviously, we all see in social media ads, home buying magazines.
Mhm.
There's a picture of a beautiful house, and then it says 1,000 back in cash, or 15,000 towards
Yes.
closing, or 10,000. Are all of those real? And is it for
Yes.
every home that you build, or how does that? How do the incentives work when you're talking new construction?
So there are always going to be different incentives on different homes in different phases of construction. Estella will give up to $15,000 in flex cash to homes that aren't even started yet.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
And the reason why you say it like that is because normally incentives are to get them to sell quickly,
Are
right?
only for properties that are already built that they can't move is typically
So
okay.
closer to the end of construction, that's when we start laying those on. So right now we have 4 properties at 4.99%
Okay.
in
And
Palm Coast.
15,000 in flex cash?
27 Palmer, which is a 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom. We have it at 4.99% for 30 years on a FHA or a VA loan, and we're paying all closing costs on that one. It is awesome. We have 3 others that will do the 4.99 rate and 5%, or 5,000 flex cash. And also, I wanted to touch back on you said, is it on every homes or every loan? So that's where it kind of varies too, is sometimes you know as well as I know that we can say, yes, we'll give you $15,000, but you may not be able to get that much depending on what your home loan restrictions offer. You can use it, so that's why we say up to, because we wanna be fully transparent with that. Let's say you're getting a home loan and you decide to use it on closing costs and maybe a feature in the home, you wanna screen in the lanai. You've already used the rest of the money anyway. So there's ways around that, and we make sure that we scrape the bucket for the buyer. We wanna give them everything that we can give them to ensure, and every home does have some type of incentive to ensure that they're getting everything with it. Yeah.
Awesome. So where do buyers accidentally overspend when
Ooh. On options.
during the building process?
on the options. You want
Yeah.
one of everything and two of something. So it's really easy to do. And, I don't think Estella is that guilty of it just simply because mostly everything that we have in the home that I sit in is offered in our regular homes. But I have been to builders where you go into their model home and it's so decked out that
Yes.
it's like $40,000 in upgrades. I had this happen, real life story.
Mhm.
Went to Naples, showed a young lady a house. She was so interested, loved the area. She did not buy that house because, first of all, they couldn't give her the information right off top of what all the upgrades cost. And then when we did get it to go to contract, they wanted 20% down on the home. Listen, 20% down on the home. Then they wanted in the first 30 days, they wanted 50% of the total upgrades. And then in the next 30 days, they wanted the other 50% of the upgrades. So when you talk about people,
It's a builder in financial problems is what that sounds like to me.
it sounds crazy to me. So then the agent told me that she could, get it down to say like a lower down payment amount if she was going to use an FHA loan, which, that happens and that's good. Still to charge you out so much options up front. I understand they have to protect the integrity of their appraisals and all that other stuff. I love that for them, but it prices people out. So with that being said, she did not purchase that home because
I'm
it
sure
priced her
not.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing. So what should buyers know about upgrades that have the best resale value later? Like obviously, I did one. My husband and I purchased a new construction home in the mid 90s, so years ago. And we did a bunch of upgrades in there and picked different things, had them leave a wall out which they really didn't want to, but my husband's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, if you don't leave this wall out, the day I close, I'm literally going to go in there and tear that wall out myself." Builder just looked at him and my husband's like, "Yeah, I have the skills to do that." So they were kind, they negotiated with us. But what kind of upgrades do you think hold like the best value or actually bring better value for a resale, later on?
So the first one that I'll bring up is going to be the obvious in this county, concrete block.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
just upgrade from day one and it's nothing disrespectful towards a wood frame home, but that is the obvious upgrade in Palm Coast.
Yeah, I
That's
would agree.
probably the biggest deal.
Yeah.
After that, things that are offered in the home are things that are already here that are going to be upgrade value for you. Like we have low emittance windows, so you don't need to upgrade those. And that's the nice thing about buying new construction. But I feel like the things that you can select and say spec homes, it's not really going to hurt or grow you. They're going to be cabinetry colors. You're going to have great cabinets either which way. So they're going to be perfect for you. But I just think it really starts at the beginning. Or here goes a good one. If you buy tiled showers, or, instead of those cutouts, that's a good option to purchase instead. But
Yeah,
it's
and that
aesthetically
definitely I think
pleasing
brings value later on.
for sure. Yep. And if they can offer, I would say like soft close cabinets or real hardwood cabinets, that's going to bring value to your home. If you're going to do, flooring throughout and it's something that you like hard surface flooring throughout because it's what you like. But by the time you resell it, 9 times out of 10, you're going to change that out anyway. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, should buyers get a third? Well, we already talked about a third party inspection on
Yep.
that brand new home. What red flags might signal a builder isn't the right fit? Because obviously, just like pairing people to loan officers, pairing people to realtors,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people need to be paired to their builder.
Builders.
So,
Mm-hmm.
what is a red flag? So our audience out there that's listening, what might be a signal to them that maybe they're not a good fit with that builder?
So I would say if you're looking at spec homes, but you want to change anything on the interior of the house structurally, you're just at the wrong builder. You need to go to a custom builder for that because they're not going to be able to do what you want them to do. People go to spec builders because we're a little more price conscious because we already have our permits in place. So we don't have to do a lot of the messing around. But that is probably one of the bigger ones. The other thing that you're just with a wrong builder all the way around and it's more credibility is if they don't have like floor plans to offer you, a contract up front for you to review, if they're, not giving you transparency or any type of communication before the build or before the contract, then they're not going to give you any after. So, those are things you want to be definitely looking out for.
Okay, so I'm thinking about my nephew. So my nephew was here visiting him and his wife from
Mhm.
Washington State, and we looked at a whole bunch of different new construction houses just so they can kind of get an idea of what things
Mhm.
cost in Palm Coast and what's available to them, etc. And so we saw a whole gamut of
I'm
properties.
sure.
What advice would you give that first-time home buyer that's comparing maybe a smaller new construction home
Mhm.
versus an older, larger resale home? Like, what would you say to those first-time home buyers that are kind of comparing and trying to decide what might work best for them?
First thing is gonna be probably talk to your lender only because they're gonna give you a better, like, picture of no, he can call you and say, "Hey, I'm looking at an older home that's $300,000, but it's built in 1995. It's gonna be 2,000 square feet, but it's built in 1995. No upgrades, new roof, that's it."
And yeah, and if there's no new roof, the insurance could potentially be
Yes.
really high in the state of
Yes.
Florida. That's it. There's sometimes when I look at people that have such tight budgets, and I hate to
That's
do this
where I was going.
because to be quite honest, I lose business to the builder's lender, but
Mhm.
it's really hard to not say you should probably go buy new construction, because if you buy new construction, you can get into an entry level house.
Yep.
Your insurance will be $120 a month instead of
On the high
350 a
end.
month, and
Bills will be
then
lighter because we have, all of the energy efficient. It's gonna be newer and up to builder codes, so it's gonna be better that way. My thing with it is I bought a house that was built in 2008. It was flipped in 2021, I bought it in 2022, so it all glittered when I went there. Everything
yes,
looked golden, right? First weekend, guess what happened? My air conditioner broke, and it was so frustrating. I know, it really brought me to tears, it brought me to my knees, it did. Simply
sure.
because, when you're a new home buyer, this is all new for us, and, like, getting the money together and if you do have a good amount of money, you still are probably gonna put that down on your home, but it's a lot of money to get into. You get in there and you need one of everything and, some of everything. So long story short, new home sales, you come in, you have a warranty. If your air conditioner breaks, you have someone to call. If your dishwasher's broken, you have someone to call. We offer a 1 year with the builder warranty. So if something should happen in the first year that you need us, we have our local project manager just stop by your house and address whatever needs to be addressed. And then it's really good. And he does a really nice new home walkthrough with the buyers. So he
Okay.
shows you how to change out your
Use.
filters and do smaller maintenance. It's
Hey,
really
that's
nice that he
great.
does that.
Especially for first-time home buyers.
Yes.
I mean, like, my husband and I are definitely not first-time home buyers, and when you were telling your story about your house you bought when we moved to Palm Coast, this is, I think, the 12th house that we've owned in 30 years,
Mhm.
and my husband having a background in construction and can build anything, so we bought the ugliest house on a great
Mhm.
street, and when I say it was ugly.
No, I remember.
And we moved in. Matter of fact, we didn't really move anything in except for our bedroom because it was so ugly. We knew
Mhm.
we instantly had to paint every surface. We pulled out all the flooring. We pulled out the entire kitchen. Like, it was such a hot mess. So for people like us, because I seriously considered a new construction house.
Yeah.
I really did. But then when I weighed in my mind of what I really wanted,
Mhm.
and I was like, I think I really want a pool more than I
And
want
that's
a
the
house.
elephant in the room. There we
Yeah,
go.
then I really want a house that's finished, because him and
Mhm.
I swore we were never gonna remodel another house again because we had done
Mhm.
so many of them up in New York. And so we swore we were never gonna do it. But then when we started looking at new construction, I'm like, okay, so I can buy a new construction for the same cost that I'm spending on this resale house,
Right.
and same size house, whatever. But the difference is that I have a $100,000 pool in the backyard and the cage around it. And I'm like, well, if I can't be on the water anymore, because we
Mhm.
had specific goals when we bought this house, I was like, I want a pool in my backyard. And so I knew if I bought new construction that I would have to spend $100,000,
Yeah.
build the pool, put the cage around it, put a fence. And so I was like, or I can spend $25,000 and have a whole bunch of labor and just have the house how I like it
The way you want it to begin with
and the way I
anyways.
want it to be, right. And so that was the right decision for us.
And that is it in Palm Coast. That's the dilemma here is you can either get a brand new construction or you're gonna get an older home with a pool. And the older home often needs a lot of work, which you and your
Yeah,
husband were able to do it. But
correct.
to go back to my house, we'll say I moved in 2022. I didn't buy new construction. 3 years later, I pulled up my floors and I'm redoing everything already anyway. So,
Exactly. I mean, and so people just got to pick and choose. Like my husband and I, we have the skills. So we
yeah,
do it all ourselves. My husband did the entire kitchen himself. I mean, and my home is beautiful. But if
send
you
him to
don't
my
have
house.
those, but if you don't, yeah, I know, huh? But if you don't have those skills, you
It's
really do
hard.
need, and it probably would have cost 3 times as much to remodel if we had to hire
Yes.
somebody versus if we did it ourselves.
Well, and this made me realize, and this is gonna sound so goofy when I say it, but the baseboards needing painted before they go back onto the walls made me realize that if I ever do this again, I'm buying a brand new house, that everything's exactly in place. There's a warranty on everything. You figure you buy a house, a brand new house, you don't have to think about a roof for 25 years at least. You don't have to think about windows. You don't have to think about replacing a door. You don't have to think about any of that stuff. And that's no leaks anywhere. It's a blessing.
And when you were saying earlier energy efficiency, so my friend actually bought an Estella home and she loves it. And so I was asking her because her house maybe is a little bit, it is bigger than mine a little bit, but not by a bunch. And
Hmm.
so I was asking her, I'm like, okay, so what's your electric bill? Because I really need to know. Now, granted, I know I have a pool pump that's running.
Hmm.
Um, but her electric bill is significantly less than
What
mine.
is it? Because I'm dying to know.
So she is well under 200. She was like around the 150 a month range.
Really?
And I
And my
run
house is
about,
smaller than hers, and my
okay.
light bill is more than hers,
Yeah. Yeah.
a
See,
lot
and
more.
that's right.
And
And
my
that's
house
where
was
I'm
built
at
in
like two.
'08.
How
You
much?
get me? My house was built in 2008, so it's not even
Okay.
as old as some of the houses that we're
Right.
talking about, and my bill for one person
Hmm.
is almost $200 a month. That's why I'm, like, kicking myself because I nickel and dime myself every other way when realistically, had I known new construction was such a thing in Florida, I would have bought a brand new house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? That hindsight when,
Mhm,
especially when you move to a new area of what the different options are. And
mhm.
Palm Coast has a lot of people who are moving from other areas, whether it
Yes.
be up north or from down south. Like my husband and
Mhm,
I moved from South Florida to Palm Coast. And it
mhm,
really is its own little paradigm here and very interesting, the real estate dynamics, and how different it is to other areas in the country because you do have so many choices in builders. You do have so much new construction, and so that's why I wanted to do this show because I wanted to really talk about and hash out like what's the differences between buying resale
mhm.
and buying, that new construction home. So what would you say as we wrap up here, what mistakes do you see buyers make the most that cost them the most money? Like what do you see out there? And I have an answer to this too that I see of people.
I think waiting, and I
I was
really
gonna
mean
say the
that.
exact same thing.
Everybody thinks that, and you know what? It's because, people see this, they'll say, "Oh, there are 2 people in the industry," so of course that's what our answer is gonna be. Let me explain why I say that. I have had quite a few buyers because in Palm Coast specifically, it
Yep.
really is about the home site.
Yes.
It's about where the home is. It has nothing to do with the new house and new construction. I mean, people have their preference of what and, they'll look at those
Yep.
lines of builders, and I get that.
Yep.
But you wait because you think that new builders are gonna offer more incentive and more incentive. But the fact of it is our business, especially Estella Living, we do, I think, 90%, pre-sales. We sell the homes before the slab is even down a lot of times.
Okay.
And that's
90%?
it's up there. It
Yeah.
really is. I would say maybe 75 to 90%, and recently it's even higher because that's just what we had available, but it really gives people the option to add those floor electrics that they want, extra electric on the back lanai. So, offering that kind of stuff compared to incentives, you really have, you have to do a lot of soul searching.
No, absolutely. So, Laurie, if someone is coming to our area or currently lives in the area and wants to look at Estella's homes and utilize you, how do they contact you? What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
You can either call me at 724-612-7727, or you can stop by 159 Bird of Paradise.
Hey, that's where we're going to be tomorrow.
I know, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. This should be a great class tomorrow. I'm excited.
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be a great class. So, this was such valuable information, especially for anyone who's considering a newly built home.
Mhm.
The biggest theme that I'm hearing is that new construction can be an incredible opportunity when you walk in prepared. With the right
Yes.
guidance, the right financing strategy, and the right advocate working on your behalf. If you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, I might want to explore new construction, this is the perfect time for you to reach out to Laurie. They really do have quality homes. And I can help you get financially prepared and aligned with the right community for your goals. So, but Laurie is your girl as far as having the houses and can help you pick the lot even. Who knew? I had no idea. So
Well, thank
I will
you.
make sure that Laurie's information and contact information will be in the show notes. And so thank you for tuning in. I'm Jennifer Fanning with Cross Country Mortgage. And this was my pleasure to meet with you again today. So if you enjoyed this content and you want to hear more, make sure that you like, subscribe, leave me some sort of comment down in the comment section. That helps my algorithms. Remember, don't get ducked by another lender, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks.